My dear king, one Brahmana, who was an old friend of King Puranjana, came to that palace, that place, and began to pacify the queen with sweet words.
Yeah. So, purport, please.
This is what Malayadwaja and the queen,
Maladwaja died. So, the queen is about to,
the Puranjani.
Puranjani is about to kill herself. Then the one Brahmana arrives. Yeah.
Purport. The appearance of an old friend in the form of a Brahmana is very significant. In his Paramatma future, Krishna is the old friend of everyone. According to the Vedic injunction, Krishna is sitting within the living entity side by side. According to the Shruti mantra, Vat Suparna Sayuja Pakyaya. The Lord is sitting within the heart of every living entity as Suhrut, the best friend. The Lord is always eager to have the living entity come home back to Godhead. Sitting with the living entity as witness, the Lord gives him all chances to enjoy himself materially, but whenever there is an opportunity, the Lord gives us good counsel and advises the living entity to abandon trying to become happy through material adjustment and instead turn his face toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead surrendered unto him. When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained before, this means meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the instruction of the spiritual master. This is technically called Vani Seva. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in the Bhagavad Gita commentary on the verse Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekiha Kurunandana that one should serve the words of the spiritual master. The disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Simply by following on that line, one sees the supreme personality of God.
Yeah, very powerful line Prabhupada is writing by his own realizations. You know, meeting the Supreme Personality Godhead in the instruction of spiritual master. One is meeting the spiritual master. Okay, how much satisfying it will be, you know, for Prabhupada. That was the only motivation. Despite so many difficulties, Prabhupada was undergoing difficulties, but in a way Prabhupada was seeing Krishna because he was meeting the Supreme Krishna in the instruction of his spiritual master. So we should always remember this line. No? This is called Vani Seva. In the Vani of spiritual master, Krishna is present. So when we are serving the Vani of spiritual master, we are serving Krishna. So that's called Vani Seva. Very wonderful. And otherwise, first line also, when we come serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that is it. Last paragraph. In conclusion.
In conclusion, if a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, he immediately associates the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Bani or Vapu. This is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush of Vrindavan while at the same time engaging in sense gratification, if one instead sticks to the principle of the following or the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty.
Yeah, so one can say, why Krishna did not directly appear before the Darbi? Because when one follows the instruction of spiritual master seriously, then Krishna will appear. You know? So now he is appearing as a Paramatma. Okay. The last line is.
If one engages in the service of the spiritual master, he is not only sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead but attains liberation. As far as material conveniences are concerned, they automatically come. Just as the maid servants of a queen follow the queen wherever she goes, liberation is no problem for the pure devotee, and all material conveniences are simply awaiting him at all stages of life.
Okay. So for him, the Brahmana came, super soul came as a Brahmana. Krishna will come only for very advanced devotees. But if one is following the instruction of spiritual master, he will be able to see Krishna. That's what one is saying. Okay. Brahman vacha katvam kasyasi kovayam shayano yasya shochasi janasi kim sakhayam manam yenagre vichartahasa. Yeah.
The Brahman inquired as follows: Who are you? Whose wife or daughter are you? Who is the man lying here? It appears you are lamenting for this dead body. Don't you recognize me? I am your eternal friend. You may remember that many times in the past you have consulted me.
Okay. So, yeah. Right. Purport, please.
When a person's relative dies, renunciation is automatically visible. Consultation with the super soul seated within everyone's heart is possible only when one is completely free from the contamination of material attachment.
Yeah.
One who is sincere and pure gets an opportunity to consult with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Paramatma feature, sitting within everyone's heart. The Paramatma is always the Chaitya Guru, the spiritual master within, and he comes before one externally as the instructor and initiator spiritual master. The Lord can reside within the heart and he can also come out before a person and give him instructions. Thus the spiritual master is not different from the super soul sitting within the heart. An uncontaminated soul or living entity can get a chance to meet the Paramatma face to face, just as one gets a chance to consult with the Paramatma within his heart. One also gets a chance to see him actually situated before him. Then one can take instructions from the super soul directly. This is the duty of the pure devotee, to see the bona fide spiritual master and consult with the super soul within the heart. When the Brahman asked the woman who the man lying and the floor was, she answered that he was her spiritual master and that she was perplexed about what to do in his absence. At such a time, the super soul immediately appears, provided the devotee is purified in heart by following the directions of the spiritual master. A sincere devotee who follows the instructions of the spiritual master certainly gets direct instructions from his heart from the super soul. Thus, a sincere devotee is always helped directly or indirectly by the spiritual master and the super soul. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata Bija, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 19:151. If the devotee serves his spiritual master sincerely, Krishna automatically becomes pleased. Jasya prasadat bhagavat prasada. By satisfying the spiritual master, one automatically satisfies Krishna. Thus the devotee becomes enriched by both the spiritual master and Krishna. The super soul is eternally the friend of the living entity and always remains with him. The super soul has always been ready to help the living entity, even before the creation of this material world. It is therefore stated here, enagre vichachartha. The word agre means before the creation. Thus the super soul has been accompanying the living entity since before the creation.
Yeah. Api smarasi chatmanam avigyata sakham sakhe hitva mam padam anvichan bhauma bhoga rato gata.
The Brahman continued, My dear friend, even though you cannot immediately recognize me, can't you remember that in the past you had a very intimate friend? Unfortunately, you gave my company and accepted a position as the enjoyer of this material world.
Yes. Api smarasi, do you remember? Atmanam avigya sakha sakhe, oh my friend. Hitva mam padam ichchana bhoga rato gata. You gave up my company and went to this material world for enjoying, you know. Hitva mam padam anvichan. Okay. here is interesting. Vishwanath Thakur is writing the commentary. The form Sakhe is the masculine form of the address, though at present she was a woman. This indicates the Lord wants to make her remember that her previous life as a man. You please remember, I cannot. Giving me up, you became attached to enjoying. This means that the Jiva gave the Lord at the beginning of the creation of the universe because of the previous karma. Okay? Yeah, please read purport.
As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.27, Ichha Samutena Moham Sarviyanti Paramtapa. First enough. O conqueror of the foe. All living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. This is an explanation of how the living entity falls down into this material world. In the spiritual world, there is no duality, nor is there hate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself into many in order to enjoy bliss more and more. The Supreme Personality, the Supreme Lord expanded himself in different categories. As mentioned in the Varaha Puran, he expanded himself in Vishnu Tattva, the Swamsh expansion, and his marginal potency, the Vibhinnamsh or the living entity. These expanded living entities are innumerable, just as the minute molecules of sunshine are innumerable expansion of the sun. The Vibhinnamsh expansion, the marginal potency of the Lord, are the living entities. When the living entities desire to enjoy themselves, they develop a consciousness of duality and come to hate the service of the Lord. In this way, the living entities fall into the material world. In the Prem Vivat it is said, Krishna Bahirmukha Bhagavancha Kare Nikatastha Maya Kare. The neutral position of the living entity is to serve the Lord in a transcendental loving attitude. When the living entity wants to become Krishna himself or imitate Krishna, he falls down into the material world. Since Krishna is the Supreme Father, his affection for the living entity is eternal. When the living entity falls down into the material world, the Supreme Lord, through his Swamsha expansion, Paramatma, keeps company with the living entity. In this way, the living entity may someday return home back to God.
Yeah.
By misusing his independence, the living entity falls down from the service of the Lord.
Yeah. So that how the Lord is a friend and Lord always accompanies the living entity in all the species, and Lord gives scriptures also to remind the living entity their real position. Okay. So he's the real friend. Hansa vaham cha tvamcharya sakhayo manasayano abhuta mantara voka sahasra parivatsarang.
My dear friend, both you and I are exactly like two swans. We live together in the same heart, which is just like the Manas lake. Although we have been living together for many thousands of years, we are still far away from our original home.
So the living entity may say, I don't remember what I'm talking about. They say, you don't remember? We are staying together in the heart for so many years. Okay. So, purport.
The original home of the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, both the Lord and the living entities live together very peacefully. Since the living entity remains engaged in the service of the Lord, they both share a blissful life in the spiritual world. However, when the living entity wants to enjoy himself, he falls down into the material world. Even while he is in that position, the Lord remains with him as the supersoul, his intimate friend. Because of his forgetfulness, the living entity does not know that the Supreme Lord is accompanying him as a supersoul. In this way, the living entity remains conditioned in each and every living being. Although the Lord follows him as a friend, the living entity, because of forgetful material existence, does not recognize him.
Swatam vihai mam bandho gatu gramam matihar mahim vicharan padam adrakshi kayachin nirmitam striya.
My dear friend, you are now my very same friend. Since you left me, you have become more and more materialistic. And not seeing me, you have been traveling in different forms throughout this material world, which was created by some woman.
So who is this woman? Maya. Okay. Purport.
When the living entity falls down, he goes into the material world, which was created by external energy of the world, energy of the Lord. This external energy is described here as some woman or Prakriti. This material world is composed of material elements, ingredients supplied by the Mahat Tattva, the total material energy. The material world created by this external energy becomes the so-called home of conditioned soul. Within this material world, the conditioned soul accepts different apartments or different bodily forms and then travel above. Sometimes he travels in higher planet system and sometimes in the lower system. Sometimes he travels in higher species of life and sometimes in lower species. He has been wandering within this material universe since time immemorial, as explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The living entity wanders into many species of life, but he is fortunate when he once again meets his friend, either in person or through his representative. Actually, it is Krishna who personally advises all living entities to return home back to Earth. Sometimes Krishna sends his representative who, delivering Krishna's very message, convinces all living entities to return home back to Earth. Unfortunately, the living entity is so greatly attached to the material enjoyment that he does not take the instructions of Krishna or his representative very seriously. This material tendency is mentioned in this verse is Gramyamati, sense gratification. The word Mahim means within this material world. All living entities within this material world are sensually inclined. Consequently, they become entangled in different types of bodies and suffer the pains of material things.
Yeah, so due to material attachments, we do not take the instructions of the Guru very seriously. Okay. So one can see. Pancharamam Navdwaram Ekapalam Trikoshtakam Shatkulam Panchavipanam Panchpagati Stridhamam.
In that city, the material body, there are 5 gardens, 9 gates, 1 protector, 3 apartments, 6 families, 5 stories, 5 material elements, and 1 woman, who is lord of the house.
Read the commentary, please.
It had 5 gardens or sense objects, 9 openings of the body for the prana. 1 prana was the guard. The 3 treasures are earth, water, and fire. The 6 mercantile communities are the 5 knowledge senses and mind. The 5 markets are the 5 action senses. The 5 powers of states are the 5 gross elements, the material substance. The mistress is intelligence, the master is husband of the intelligence.
Okay. Pachendriyartha arama dwara prana nav prabho tejo abhinani kosthani kulumindriyam sangraha.
My dear friend, the 5 gardens are the 5 objects of sense enjoyment, and the protector is the life here, which passes through the 9 gates. The 3 apartments are the chief ingredients, fire, water, earth. The 6 families are aggregate total of mind and the 5 senses.
Purport.
The 5 senses that acquire knowledge are sight, taste, smell, sound, touch, and these act through the 9 gates, the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the 2 mouths, 1 mouth, 2 nostrils, the genital, and 1 rectum. The holes are compared to 9 gates in the walls of the city. The principal ingredients are earth, water, fire, and the principal actor is the mind, which is controlled by intelligence buddhi.
Yeah. Vipanastu kriya shakti bhuta prakriti avyaya shakti adhisha pumastu at pravishto navibhudyate. Yeah.
Upon tools and upon working, the organs. They
translate their business through the combined forces of the five elements, which are eternal. Behind all this activity is the soul. The soul is a person and can enjoy and reality. However, because it is now hidden within the city of the body, it is devoid of knowledge.
Okay. Purport.
The living entity enters the material creation with the aid of the five elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and thus his body is formed. Although the living entity is working from within, he is nonetheless unknown. The living entity enters the material creation, but because he is bewildered by the material energy, he appears to be hidden. The bodily conception of life is prominent because of ignorance. Intelligence is described in the feminine gender, but owing to her prominence in all activities, she is described in this verse as Adisha, the controller. The living entity lives by means of water, fire, water, and food grains. It is through the combination of these three that the body is maintained. Consequently, the body is called Prakriti, mental creation. All the elements gradually combine to form flesh, bone, blood, and so on. All these appear as various apartments. It is said in the Vedas that the digestive force is ultimately divided into three. The solid portion becomes a stone and the semi-liquid portion turns into flesh. The liquid portion turns yellow and is again divided into three. One of these liquid portions is called urine. Similarly, the iron portion is divided into three, and one is called bone. Out of the five elements, water, fire, water, and food grains are very important. These three are mentioned in the previous verse, whereas the sky and air are not mentioned. This is all explained in Bhagavad Gita. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Prakriti, material nature, and Purusha, the living entity, are eternal. When they both come in contact, there are different reactions and manifestations. All of them should be considered the results of the interaction of the three modes of material nature.
Okay. So, we all know these things, but don't require any explanation. Tasmin tvam ramaya sprishto ramamano shuta smiti tat sangad idrisham prapto dasham papi yasam prabho.
My dear friend, when you enter such a body along with the woman of material desires, you become overly absorbed in sense enjoyment. Because of this, you have forgotten your spiritual life. Due to your material conceptions, you are placed in various miserable conditions.
Okay, purport please.
When a person becomes materially engrossed, he has no capacity to hear about his spiritual existence. Forgetfulness of his spiritual existence entangles a man more and more in material existence. Such is the result of sinful life. Various bodies are developed with the material ingredients because of different types of sinful activities. King Puranjan assumed the body of a woman by Dharvi as a result of his sinful activity. Bhagavad Gita clearly says, Striyo Vaisyas Tata Sudraha, that such a body is low born. If one takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, he can be elevated to the highest perfection, even though he be low born. One acquires lower births when one's spiritual intelligence is reduced.
Okay. So, one acquires lower births when one's spiritual intelligence is reduced. Okay. So now the living entity may ask, whether we may ask, then what should I know then? Na tvam vidarbha duhita, nayam vira suhitava, na patistvam purjanya, arudbhav navamukho yaya.
Actually, you are not the daughter of Vidarbha, nor is this man. Malaya Dvaja, your well-wishing husband. Nor were you the actual husband of Purangi. You were simply captivated in this body of 9 years.
Okay. Yes, purport.
In the material world, many living entities come into contact with one another and increasing their attachment to a particular type of body, become related as father, husband, mother, wife, etc. Actually, every living entity is a separate individual being, and it is because of his contact with matter that he comes together with other bodies and becomes falsely related. False bodies create various associations in the name of family, community, society, and nationality. Actually, every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the living entities are overly engrossed in the material body. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appears and gives instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita and Vedic literatures. The Supreme Lord gives these instructions because He is the eternal friend of the living entities. His instructions are important because by them the living entities can obtain the liberation from worldly engagement. As water passes down a river, many straws and grasses are carried from the shore. These straws and grasses come together in the river's current, but when the waves toss this way and that, they are separated and carried somewhere else. Similarly, the innumerable living entities within this material world are being carried by the waves of material nature. Sometimes the waves bring them together and they form friendship and relate to one another on bodily basis of family, community, or nationality. Eventually, they are thrown out of association by the waves of material nature. This process has been going on since the creation of material nature. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings Niche Maya Rase Jiva Krishna Das Dev Vishwas My dear living entities, you are being carried away by the waves of material nature. Sometimes you are on the surface, sometimes you are being drowned. In this way, your eternal life is being spoiled. If you simply catch hold of Krishna and take shelter of his lotus feet, you will once again get free from all miserable material conditions. In this verse, the words Surat, well-wisher, and Yor are very significant. One's so-called husband, relative, son, father, or whatever cannot actually be a well-wisher. The only actual well-wisher is Krishna himself, as Krishna confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 5:29. Shubhridam Sarvabhutam. Society, friendship, love, and well-wishers are all simply results of being packed in different bodies. One should know this well and try to get out of this bodily engagement into which one is thrown birth after birth. One should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and return home back to Godhead.
Joy. Maya yesha maya srishta yat ponsam istriya sati manyase no bhayam yadvai hanso pashyava yogitam.
Sometimes you think yourself a man, sometimes a chaste woman, and sometimes a neutral eunuch. This is all because of the body, which is created by the illusory energy. This illusory energy is my potency, and actually, both of us, you and I, are pure spiritual identities. Now, just try to understand this. I am trying to explain our factual position.
So, you see, if it is like this, why I am not aware? This is all because of Maya. Purport.
The factual position of both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity is qualitatively one. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Spirit, the Super Soul, and the living entity is the individual spiritual soul. Even though both of them are original spiritual identities, the living entity forgets his identity when he comes in contact with material nature and becomes conditioned. At such a time, he identifies himself as a product of the material nature. Because of the material body, he forgets that he is the eternal Sanatana, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This confirmed in this way, Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The word Sanatana is found in several places in Bhagavad Gita. Both the Lord and the living entity are Sanatana, eternal. And there is also place in the Sanatana, beyond this material nature. The real residence of both the living entity and God is the domain of Sanatana, not this material body.
The material world is the temporary external energy of the Lord, and the living entity is placed in this material world because he wanted to imitate the position of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this material world, he tries to enjoy his senses to his best capacity. All the activities of conditioned soul within this material world are virtually taking place in different types of bodies. But when the living entity acquires development consciousness, he should try to rectify his situation again and again, become a member of the spiritual world. The process by which one can return home back to Godhead is Bhakti Yoga, sometimes called Sanatana Dharma. Instead of accepting a temporary occupational duty based on the material body, one should take to the person of Sanatana Dharma or Bhakti Yoga, so that he can put an end to this perpetual bondage in material bodies and return home back to Godhead. As long as humanity works on the basis of false material identification, all the so-called advancements of science and philosophy are simply useless. They only serve to mislead human society. Andayathandere upaniya manaha. In the material world, the blind simply lead the blind.
Yeah. So when we develop consciousness, we got a human form of life in the association of devotees, then we should try to rectify our situation and become a member of spiritual world. So this is an opportunity we all have. Aham bhavan na chanyastvam tvam evaham vichakshvabho na no pashyanti kavyascha chidram jatu managapi.
My dear friend, I, the super soul, and you, the individual soul, are not different in quality, but we are both spiritual. In fact, my dear friend, you are qualitatively not different from me in your constitutional position. Just try to consider this object. Those who are actually advanced scholars, who are in knowledge, do not find any qualitative difference between you and me.
Yeah. Yes, Papat.
Both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity are qualitatively one. There is no factual difference between the two. The Mayavadi philosophers are again and again defeated by the illusory energy because they think that there is no separation between the super soul and the individual soul. That there is no super soul. They are also misled in thinking that everything is the super soul. However, those who are Kavaya, learned scholars, actually know the facts. They do not commit such mistakes. They know that God and the individual soul are one in quality, but that the individual soul falls under the clutches of Maya, whereas the super soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the controller of Maya. Maya is the creation of the Supreme Lord, Maya Srishta. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is the controller of Maya. Although one in quality with the Supreme Lord, the individual soul is under the control of Maya. Mayavadi philosophers cannot distinguish between the controller and the controlled.
So we have one in quality, but now difference in quantity. Yatha purusha atmana ekam adarsa chakshusho dvidha bhutam avaksheta tathaiva antaram abhyayo.
As a person sees the reflection of his body in a mirror to be one with himself or not different, whereas others actually see two bodies. So in our material condition, in which the living entity is affected and yet not affected, there is a difference between God and the living entity.
Yeah. Purport.
Being affected by the conditioning of matter, Mayavadi philosophers cannot see the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. When the sun is reflected in a pot of water, the sun knows that there is no difference between himself and the reflected sun in the water. Those in ignorance, however, perceive that there are many small suns reflected in each and every pot. As far as the brilliance is concerned, there is a brilliance both in the original sun and in the reflections. But the reflections are small, whereas the original sun is very large. Vaishnava philosophers conclude that the living entity is simply a small sample of the original Supreme Personality Godhead. Qualitatively, God and the living entities are one, but quantitatively, the living entity are small fragments of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is full, powerful, and opulent. In the previous verse, the Lord says, "My dear friend, you and I are not different." This non-difference refers to qualitative oneness, for it was not necessary for the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality, to remind the conditioned soul that he is not one in quantity. The self-realized soul never thinks that he and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are one in every respect. Although he and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not one in quality, and the living entity is prone to forget his spiritual identity, whereas the Supreme Personality never forgets. This is the difference between lipta and alipta. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally alipta, uncontaminated by the external energy. The conditioned soul, however, being in contact with the material nature, forgets his real identity. Therefore, when he sees himself in the conditioned state, he identifies himself with the body. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, there is no difference between the body and the soul. He is completely soul. He has no material body. Although the Super Soul, Paramatma, and the individual souls are both within the body, the Super Soul is devoid of designation, whereas the conditioned soul is designated by his particular type of body. The Super Soul is called Antaryami, and he is extensive. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Kshatrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. O sign of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the Lord of all the bodies. The Super Soul is present in everyone's body, whereas the individual soul is conditioned to one particular type of body. The individual soul cannot understand what is taking place in another's body, but the Super Soul knows very well what is happening in all bodies. In other words, the Super Soul is always present in his full spiritual position, whereas the individual soul is prone to forget himself. Nor is the individual soul present everywhere. Generally, in his conditioned state, the individual soul cannot understand his relationship with the Super Soul. But sometimes, when he is free from all conditional existence, he can see the real difference between the Super Soul and himself. When the Super Soul tells the conditioned soul, "You and I are one and the same," it is to remind the conditioned soul of his spiritual identity as being qualitatively one. In the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Yato Nurka Vishvala Vishvalinga Api Argamena Vimutta Yatagni Prathak. Fire has different features. There is a flame, the sparks, and the smoke. Although these are one in quality, there is still a difference between the fire and the flame, the spark and smoke. The living entity becomes conditioned, but the Supreme Personality Godhead is different because he does not become conditioned at any point. In the Vedas, it is stated, Atmatha Prithak Dushta Bhagwan Brahma Samprithana. Atma is the individual soul as well as the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is the seer of everything. Although both are spirit, there is always a difference. In the Smriti, it is said, Yathagne Kshutra Vishpulangat Vichardi. Just as sparks manifest in a large fire, similarly a small individual souls are present in the big spiritual flame. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Matsthani sarva bhutani na chaham steshu avastita. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Although all living beings are resting in him, a small fiery spark rests on the large flame. Both are differently situated. Similarly, in Vishnu Puran it is stated, Ekadeshas Titasyagnir Jyotsna Vishtaranitya Tasya Brahmanam Shakti Tathedam Akilam Jagat. Fire is situated in one place, but it distributes heat and light. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is distributing his energies in different ways. The living entity is but one of these energies, marginal energy. The energy and the energetics are one in one sense, but they are differently situated as energy and energetic. Similarly, the Satchidananda form, confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, is different from that of the living entity in both his conditioned and liberated states. Only atheists consider that the living entity and the personality of Godhead equal in all respects. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Mayavadi Bhashya Sunile Vai Sarvanash. If one follows the instructions of the Mayavadi philosophers and believes that the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the individual souls are one, his understanding of real philosophy is forever doomed.
So such a long purport, Prabhupada never wants to give any chance to Mayavadi. So whenever Prabhupada gets a chance, Prabhupada repeats the same thing again. No? Soul and super soul are different. Evam sa manaso hanso hansena pratibodhita swasthastad vyabhicharena nashtapa punha smritim.
Translation. In this way, both swans live together in the heart. When one swan is instructed by the other, he is situated in his constitutional position. This means he regained his original Krishna consciousness, which was lost because of his material attraction.
So, Vishwanath Thakur is saying this is summary. Right?
Translation means that the jiva not covered by the prakriti. He again attains memory, which was lost by aversion to the Lord, which previously he had attained by the devotion to a guru. By the discussion of non-difference and by the greater strength of the Shruti concerning two birds, one should understand that the highest goal, according to the Lord, is attaining the position of prema as an associate of the Lord.
Okay. So Jiva gets a position. Swastha. Swastha means without covered by Prakriti. Okay. Purport Prabhu.
Here it is clearly stated, Hanso Hansana
Bodhita.
The individual soul and the super soul are both compared to swans, Hansas, because they are white or uncontaminated. One swan, however, is superior and is the instructor of the other. When the inferior swan is separated from the other swan, he is attracted to material enjoyment. This is the cause of his fall down. When he hears the instructions of the other swan, he understands his original position and is again revived to his original consciousness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna comes down, avatar, to deliver his devotees and kill the demons. He also gives his sublime instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita. The individual soul has to understand his position by the grace of the Lord and this spiritual master, because the text of the Bhagavad Gita cannot be understood simply by academic qualifications. One has to learn Bhagavad Gita from a realized soul. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Bhagavad Gita 4.24. Thus one has to select a bona fide spiritual master and become enlightened to this original consciousness. In this way, the individual soul can understand that he is always subordinate to the super soul. As soon as he declines to remain subordinate and tries to become an enjoyer, he begins his material condition. When he abandons his spirit, this spirit of being an individual owner or enjoyer, he becomes situated in his liberated state. The word swasthita means situated in one's original position. It's very significant in this verse. When one has his unwanted attitude of superiority, he becomes situated in his original position. The word tad Vyabhicharena is very also significant, for it indicates that when one is separated from God due to disobedience, his real sense is lost. Again, by the grace of Krishna and Guru, he can be properly situated in his liberated position. These verses are spoken by Srila Narad Muni, and his purpose in speaking them is to revive our consciousness. Although the living entity and the super soul are one in quality, the individual soul has to pursue the instructions of the super soul. That is the state of revelation.
Yes. Okay. Clear? Yeah. Bahishman etad adhyatam parokshena pradarshitam Yat paroksha priyo devo Bhagavana Vishwabhavana.
My dear King Prachina Barahi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, is celebrated to be known indirectly. Thus, I have described the story of Puranjana unto you. Actually, it is an instruction for self-realization.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Purport.
There are many similar stories in the Puranas for self-realization. As stated in the Vedas, Paroksha Priya Ivahi Devaha. There are many stories in Puranas that are intended to interest ordinary men in transcendental subjects. But actually, these refer to real facts. They are not to be considered stories without a transcendental purpose. Some of them refer to real historical facts. One should be interested, however, in the real purport of the story. Indirect instruction is quickly understandable for the common man. Factually, the path of Bhakti Yoga is the path of hearing directly about the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shravanam, Kirtan, Vishnu. But those who are not interested in hearing directly about the activities of the Lord or who cannot understand them can very effectively hear such stories and fables as this one narrated by Narada. The following is a glossary of some of the important words in this chapter.
Yeah, it's still a revision.
Aveshakali, the actions resulting from sinful activities. Agastya, the mind. Amartya, the governor of the senses, the mind. Arbuda, various types of Shravana and the Kirtana, the Supreme Lord's names, quality, and so on. Ali, impotence like diseases. Bhoga, enjoyment. Here, this word refers to real enjoyment in the spiritual life. Vritya, the servants of the body, namely the senses. Dravida Raja, devotional service, or the person eligible to act in devotional service. Dvara, the doors of the body, such as eyes and ears. Griha, home. For spiritual cultivation, one requires an undisturbed place or the good association of devotees.
Idu Maha, we know that, I think long. It's okay, I think. Yeah. We understood that. Thus ends the purport of the 4th canto, 28th chapter. Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Puranjan becomes a woman in next life. Thus ends the Bhakti Vaibhav unit. Hari Hari Bo. One more feather in the cap. Thank you. Congratulations. Hare Krishna. Okay. Comments. We finished well before time. Started also well after time. Finished well before time. Yes, Prabhu.
When he becomes well in the next life, whether we. So this is Lord's mercy that he gets a devotee husband, or because of his punya karma last time he was served.
Because of the punya karma, she got birth as a princess, as a daughter of a king. And why she got devotional service? Yadrichya. This comes. It is by the mercy of Malyadhwaj, mercy of the devotee.
Then what is the exact picture when he dies, Malayadhwaj dies, then the Brahmana comes, super soul.
Yeah.
And what this indicates, the spiritual master is going and then super soul is connecting the soul with him.
Yeah, so that is now the complete picture is revealed that you are the Puranjan in previous life, so you had forgotten me. So in a way, Narad Muni is telling everything to Prachin Parishad. So the story ends here, but in the next chapter, so now Narad Muni is saying it was for you. So I couldn't understand. Then Narad Muni again clarify the all allegory. This means that, this means that. You clarify.
But then you show the husband is dying.
Yeah.
There is no relationship with his husband now.
Yeah.
Not with the support soul.
Yeah, that's a
But
person.
parampara we say that with the guru, the relationship is always there.
Yeah, that is.
Guru will be there always.
Yeah, Guru relationship is always there. It's eternal. It's eternal. It's not. Allegories are not complete in all the respects. So this is just a kind of a story told. By the mercy of the Guru, he could meet a super soul. Because he became so sincere, he was about to give up her life. She was about to give up her life. When the super soul arrived, that we are real friends. So Guru did his job. But Guru's relationship with the individual soul is, with the disciple, is eternal. That is
Now
eternal.
he is connected with the super soul.
Yeah.
Then what will be the next picture?
So, the end. Then they lived happily thereafter. This is a happy ending. That. But a Guru will be there. Only Guru is missing. Your question is why Guru is missing. Yeah, Guru is always there. It is not there in this picture, but Guru is always there.
After serving Guru faithfully, then super soul is revealed to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going back home, there you will be serving the Guru.
Yes. So after serving the spiritual master faithfully, there is a connection is
Again,
established.
Guru will be needed to, because super soul darshan we got, but then actually you end up in a practical devotional service.
Yeah, we will be assisting Guru in the spiritual world. That. Now it was up to this point that the relationship is established. Right, up to this point.
This karma kand application of Veda for the mankind, it is only for Bharatvarsha or one entire Bhumandala.
It is our whole humanity.
But humans are also there in Bhumandala, other versions.
Huh.
So there also Vedic rituals are going on. Karma is applicable there or just only?
Karma is only for Bharatvarsha. Yeah, only for Bharatvarsha.
Bharatvarsha means the circular periphery.
Yes, only for Bharatvarsha, not for it. This is the Karam Bhumi. Only this version. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. Yeah, Prabhuji.
So we were reading in the purport about rectifying our mistakes.
Yeah.
So we have a particular system. We have a system where the symptoms are visible and then they are observed and corrected. That becomes easy for rectifying our mistakes. But this happens after once symptoms comes, the ego is already showing up the symptoms, the false ego. That time it becomes difficult to accept the corrections. It becomes a more difficult process to rectify. But when we do introspection of ourselves, then the observation of that false ego, that symptoms, it becomes very difficult for ourselves alone, introspection. So, is there any way that individually one can understand the symptoms of false ego, understand the signs of our mistakes and rectify ourselves?
My take is, as long as we live in the association of devotees, they help us to recognize our faults. That's why it's always better to remain in association of devotees, keep on hearing and chanting. So we'll keep on getting feedbacks.
Offenses happen.
Yeah, so immediately we rectify.
And then corrections come.
Yeah, so we learn by committing mistakes. So as we learn, we're learning, so then our mistakes will become less and less. Okay, that's why it's so important to always remain in the association of devotees. Though it may be sometimes painful, but it's always, because in the association of devotees, Prabhupada likes we mature. This is how we become mature in association of devotees. Otherwise, if we remain alone, we may living in an illusion that I am a very pure devotee, I don't have any faults. So when we come in association of devotees, our faults are, they're revealed. And then we come to know. So, okay, I'll commit some offenses in the beginning. So it starts like that only.
Rather,
Yeah, but all these
it
are.
spoils much. The ego becomes more, and accepting the corrections becomes more difficult.
Then what is the way out? Only in the association devotees I'll come to know I have faults. And then they will only give me feedback, then I'll correct myself. So by hearing, chanting, I get the strength to receive the feedbacks, to correct myself. Now Krishna gives the strength by the process of hearing and chanting.
So, like in the case of Prahlada, Dhruva, of course, they had their own past life. But they have not committed any offenses to learn, to go fast forward their process.
Yeah, so they are special souls. Prahlad is, Prabhupada says, half Nitya Siddh, half Sadhana Siddh. They are not ordinary souls. They have come here to teach us.
For conditioned souls, committing offenses and learning from it.
Yes, it starts from Namaprad only. Namaprad, Namavast, Shuddhanam. We'll start from Namaprad.
Offenseless chanting, offenseless seva.
Only that, if one has reached to a very high point in one birth, in the next life he may start from that. If one has reached a very good position in devotional service, then the next life he will start from a comparatively less offensive.
Just like that Avadhuta Brahmana,
Yeah.
he was doing self-introspection. He was learning lessons from
Yeah.
such devotional service. Ordinary practitioner cannot do it.
No, we can learn from them, but we cannot be in their position. We cannot. We can learn from them. And then, like we couldn't complete our Krishna consciousness this life, so next life we may start from an offenseless stage. So many devotees, when they join, they commit less offenses. Right from the beginning, they have a very proper attitude. Yes, devotees. But normally a conditioned soul, when he will start with offenses only.
Is there any way to know where are we progressing and how? Because see, actually, when we see a category of people, if they are following a proper routine or doing their work according to caliber or any particular area, we come to match the personalities and come to know where are they standing. So in bhakti, is there any way to judge ourselves? Where are we actually positioned in the sense? What is our rating like?
Yeah. Very simple. Bhakti pareshan bhava vyakti anathacha trika ekala. Papadana yata ashnal syur. Tushti, pushti, shuddhapya anubhasa. Like when we honor prasad, three symptoms appear. Tushti, pushti, shuddhapya anubhasa. I feel nourished, I feel satisfied, I feel nourished, and my hunger goes away. Similarly, if I am performing bhakti nicely, bhakti paresh, I'll get the realization of Krishna. Okay, I'll get a higher taste, and then the virakti, distaste in the material things. These three things should appear. Okay, if it is not appearing, then that means there is something wrong in my intentions or something wrong in my practice.
Okay, but still, as we are not properly nourished in that case, or not feeling that sense, proper response. So, what is the, you can say, a condition or the reaction that we are going to suffer?
Reaction is that, yes, I'll keep, my material attachments will continue. Or as long as material attachments are there, envy will be there, offenses will be there. So it will continue. So I am continuing my devotional service also, having material desires also, committing offenses also. So that way it's continuing. So I should check on my actions, whether the action is correct or not. Then my intentions are correct or not. Okay. Or my attention, although my action is correct. Sometimes my action may not be pro-devotional. I've been performing some actions, I may be watching too much of social media, which is totally forbidden. Okay. Sometimes my actions may be all correct, but they are not with proper attention. So that should I check. Sometimes action is also correct, attention is also there, but intentions are not correct. Okay, so these three things should check. All my actions should be favorable, and all those favorable actions should be performed with proper attention and with proper intention. If these three things are completely aligned, then these three symptoms will appear. So normally, mostly our actions are more or less okay. Attention is lacking. We are not able to perform proper attention, or maybe some fault in the intention. Intention may be like not complete pure intention is there. Because of that, the symptoms don't appear.
Yeah, and similarly, the ruchi also is sometimes not very much in devotional service. So it's very natural because see, if it is maybe if you be performing any routine like since we were children in a school days also or college, like the times we had a lot of taste to do some things and also distaste where our ruchi used to get less and there also struggle. And sometimes we are immune to those, like we do not have the urge to get that ruchi. We do not feel that urge. So in that case, what should be your
No problem, because our aversion to Krishna consciousness has been so long. So we have lost the taste. So, but somehow or other, fortunately, we have come in association of devotees. So our consciousness is too wet with sins and offenses. But we keep ourselves in the association, gradually it's drying up and we'll catch that fire. That fire will come up, yes, I want to progress, I want to get that. This process can help only. So, not to give up, utsaha nishchay dharya. Something is there, that's why we are here. We are not being imprisoned here. By our own choice we are here. That means some ruchi is there.
Hare Krishna. So we are very thankful to Prabhuji for taking our time. Although Prabhuji had a very busy schedule. 5th October when Bhakti was completed in Dwarka. 6th October Prabhuji started here. Prabhuji going back on 11th October tomorrow. 12th October is again big festival in Delhi Udgar. 15,000 boys are coming together, I think. So as heavy schedule, actually you can see how Prabhuji is amazing Vaishnava. Actually Prabhuji was scheduled in September, but due to higher devotees request, Prabhuji had to go to South America. Sannyas mission completion tour to South America in those days of September. Prabhuji could have very easily said that, okay, now I cannot come because this seva has come, I have to go. But Prabhuji, the devotees will be expecting, I don't want to spoil their expectation, displease them. So Prabhuji, all the schedule was very, very tight, but Prabhuji still very kindly was agreed, ready to come later dates. All these dates also very, very tight for Prabhuji. Still, we can learn from Prabhuji Vaishnava qualities and how wonderfully Prabhuji taught all the chapters of Bhagavatam. So, relax and answering all the questions thoroughly, peacefully, satisfying the devotees, showing the purpose, purport, commentary, refreshments, etc. It's a good job. So, we're very, very grateful to Prabhuji for his association. So many days here and classes, evening also Brahmachari classes, Bhakta room, and Bhagavatam classes also Prabhuji. And tomorrow also Bhagavatam classes here. Tomorrow also Prabhuji taking one more class. So we'll have a association of Prabhuji tomorrow also present here. So we're very grateful to Prabhuji from the bottom of our heart for and some sacrifices behind the scene. Prabhuji is doing here, serving fully properly, but still help or sometimes. So we are very grateful to Prabhuji for teaching us both by his speech and by his exemplary actions. But are we chanting from whatever the heart wants? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thanks to all of you. Very good audience, very sincere brahmacharis. It's all by the mercy of Nimai Nitai, Vishnu Tattva. They are always inspiring me, encouraging me to come. And I also like to come over here. Very nice prasadam, nice hospitality, good room, and have Maharaj darshan, Maharaj room's darshan also. Such a nice terrace. In Bombay, it's so difficult to find such an open space. So very good, wonderful deities. Radharas Vihar is historical, it's a historical temple. So thank you very much. We all are very fortunate that we get this opportunity to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam together. So I'm not an expert, so whatever I know, I get to learn a lot from all of you, your queries, your experiences, realizations. So this is how we learn from each other. So thank you very much. Hari Bol. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Jai Jai.